And today we are in chapter 2, which titled Nitya Dharma of Jiva is pure and eternal. So this is today we will be completing this. This is a small chapter, so we will be completing this today. So now, the next morning, Sannyasi Mahashaya found no opportunity to inquire from Premadasa Babaji, his Gurudev, who was internally immersed in Brajarasa, the Brajabhava mellows of service in the mood of the residents of Braja. At midday, after accepting alms from the houses of the villagers, they sat together in the arbor known as Sri Madhavi Malati Mandapa. Paramahamsa Babaji Mahasaya then began to speak compassionately. So he said, "O best of the Bhaktas, you heard from me the answers for your question yesterday. And what conclusions have you reached after yesterday's discussion on the subject of Dharma?" Remember last class we were actually discussing about the different dharmas of vastus. So we covered there are three vastus, Bhagavan, Jiva and Prakriti. So now Bhagavan is always eternal. He does not really undergo any changes like the Prakriti or even the Jivas. And Jivas, even though eternally they are situated in the eternal Dharma, but they are subjected to the changes. So that is Naimitika. So Nitya Dharma of Jiva is always pure and eternal. That is basically the topic of our chapter today. But anyway, so now the Sannyasi Thakura asked Prabhu, "I have a question for today. If the Jiva is infinitesimal, if the Jiva is very, very small, Anuchit, I am wondering how its eternal Dharma is really full and pure. And also, if the natural function of the Jiva is formed at the time he is constituted, when the Jiva appeared, there was time. So if that is the case, then how can that be eternal? How can a Jiva be eternal? Because if there is a time where it really got constituted or made, then that brings a big question. So that is about today's class. When Paramahamsa Babaji heard these two questions, he meditated on the lotus feet of Sri Sachinandana Gaurahari, and then smiling, he said, "Respected sir, although the Jiva is infinitesimal, his Dharma is full and Nitya. His Dharma is eternal. So minuteness is only a trait by which he is identified. Sri Krishna Chandra is the one and only infinite substance. That is Brahat Vastu. Brahat means it is infinite. There is no way of estimating how big or how large or how, there is no way. Brahat means ultimate, infinite. So it is infinite substance because Brahat Vastu. But Jivas are his innumerable atomic particles. So you are seeing a picture of big fire. And from the fire, sparks are coming out. So if you see that a huge fire represents Krishna, the sparks emanating from the fire is like Jivas. Right? So just as every spark is endowed with the potency of the complete fire, but in minute, so each and every Jiva is capable of displaying the full function of consciousness. If a single spark has enough fuel, it can kindle a blazing fire that will incinerate the whole world. The power is there, the potent is there, but it needs enough fuel. Similarly, even a single jiva can bring about a great inundation of love by obtaining Sri Krishna Chandra, who is the real object of love. A single jiva can really bring up so much of, it's unlimited anand. A jiva also has within, it is there. But it will manifest only when it is with Krishna. Or we all are related to Krishna, or connected to Krishna. Otherwise it becomes dormant. Take the fire for example. This fire, that spark, as long as it is within the fire, it has the same property. Like for example, they take a big iron, so just a sword or something iron. You put it in the fire, it becomes fire. There is no difference. So because it is with the fire, but by itself, it has a different property, different not property, the quantity is different. So the quality of the jiva is same as the Lord, but it is minute. Jiva is minute. So now Babaji is saying, as long as he fails to contact the real object of his spiritual function, that with Dharma Vishaya, the infinitesimal conscious jiva is incapable of exhibiting the natural development of that function. The function is there. The burning potency is there. But as soon as the spark comes out, because if you really go and then go near the fire, and your shirt will be burnt. But what happens to this? Suppose you are standing and a spark just comes out and that touches on your shirt. What does it do? It put a hole, just a small hole, and dies. So that property is going. That's why it is said that a single jiva can bring a great inundation of love, inundation of its property, as long as it is with Krishna Chandra. It's related to Krishna Chandra. That is why jivas, as soon as it really associates and goes back to the service of Krishna, it develops the full potency. So it is capable of exhibiting the natural development of that function. What is the function? Eternal servant of the Lord. So in reality, it is only when the jiva is in connection with his object that the identity of its dharma becomes apparent. Okay, this is a very important point. So in reality, it is only when the jiva is in connection with his object, that is Sri Krishna, the identity of its dharma becomes apparent. So the eternal dharma of eternal dharma of purity of the jiva is not manifesting because it is away from Krishna. It's away from the fire. Then also another classic example that is that you can find how we can understand from Jiva and Bhagavan is through a sun and sunlight. Because sun is emitting so much of infinite sunlight, the rays. They are called photons in science. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually there is a verse also specifically actually mentioning about Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nitya Dasa. Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nitya Dasa, but Krishnera Tadasya Sakti Beda Abeda Prakasha, and continues. What it is saying? Suryamsa Kirana Yaiche Agni Jwala Chaya Swabhavika Krishnera Tina Prakara Sakti Haya. So what it is saying is Surya Amsa Kirana. So assuming that Bhagavan is like a sun, and all the rays from the sun are jivas, this is a very good way of understanding who is Bhagavan and what is jiva. So in many ways, the sun and its rays are one It's the same. In one way. But they are different too. Similarly, the Jivas, the living beings, are energies of Krishna and they are part of him, yet it's not equal to him. So there is difference and also there is similarity. So that is why this Abheda Bheda Tattva by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be understood by this example. This Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva is, what does it mean? Simultaneously oneness and difference. What the Advaita philosophy is saying is everything same. You are God, God is you. It's basically everything same. And then when it comes to Dvaitavada, Madhvacharya, he says it is two. So it is Dvaita. No, they are different. Jiva is different and Bhagavan is different. But whereas Shankaracharya and Mayavadism, they say Advaita Vadas, they say, oh no, there is no difference. Everything is Brahman. Jiva is also Brahman. Bhagavan is also Brahman. So they have different understanding. So he says, Shankaracharya says like this, one. There is no difference. But then Madhvacharya says, no, they are true. They are different. They are different. Then what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying is, it is like this. If you see, in one way, it's all together, it's all one. But in another way, it is two. So, that is Bheda Abheda. Now, what is the Nitya? Okay, now put on the other one. Okay. What is the Nitya Dharma or eternal constitutional function of the Jiva? You must examine this question carefully. So the transcendental love for Krishna, that is prema, is the Jiva's Nitya Dharma. The Jiva is a substance transcendental to mundane matter. Prakriti is different, that is Jada. And consciousness is that which he is constituted. So his eternal function is divine love. And the nature of that pure prema is service to Krishna. Nitya Dasa. Therefore, the constitutional function of the Jiva is service to Krishna, which is the nature of prema. But Jivas exist in two conditions or two states. Sutta Avashta and Baddha Avashta. What are they? Sutta Avashta means in its pure liberated state. In that state, that Jiva does not come out of from the vicinity of Bhagavan. It's always with Bhagavan. Like the spark of the fire, it's always with. And then it has a full potency. But when it comes out, because of the inclination to release, to enjoy separately away from Krishna, and because of that, he has to really come out of that spiritual abode, and he is now controlled by Maya, and that is Baddha Avastha. That is in the conditioned state. So in the liberated state, the Jiva is completely spiritual. So it is called Chinmaya. And it has no connection with mundane matter. But even in the liberated state, the Jiva is an infinitesimal entity. It is infinitesimal, but the potency is there. So the quality is same. The Jiva can undergo a change in condition because he has the quality of minuteness. So it's weak. So Krishna, however, never undergoes a change of condition. For by his very nature, he is the entity of infinite cognition. And by his essential constitution as a Vastu, remember there are three kinds of Vastu that we covered in the last one. So this Bhagavan is also Vastu. So factually existent entity is called Vastu, and Bhagavan is supreme, completely pure and eternal. Whereas the Jiva, by his essential constitution as a Vastu, is minute, a part, and it is liable to contamination, and subject to repeated change. Nevertheless, by the virtue of the Jiva's Dharma or unadulterated spiritual function, he is great, undivided, pure and everlasting. So as long as the Jiva is pure, his Dharma displays its spotless character. However, when he is contaminated by involvement with Maya, his true nature is perverted. And he becomes impure, bereft of shelter, and oppressed by mundane happiness and distress. So now he is enjoying this jada. The Jiva's course of material existence comes into effect as soon as he forgets his attitude to serve Krishna. This is where the problem is. Now, how this whole thing, the Jiva is falling down all the way. I just put this small thing so that it may be easy for you to understand. So what you are seeing in the picture is Jiva, not all the Jivas, those Jiva who develop enjoying desire, if that arises, like the example I told you, a finger is trying to think, oh, I want to be a brain. So that is because of that he is taken by Maya. So Maya attacks. So, but if you see the right side, pure in pure state is in service to Krishna. That is a true ego. Means I am a servant of my Lord. That is a true ego. But what is the false ego? I am the enjoyer. I am the boss. I am everything. I have this. I am, this is my. So this is the false ego. So I am a servant of my Lord is true ego. But I am the boss, I am the controller, I am the body. This is, whatever, when it takes a body. So that is false ego. That means anything other than the feeling that you are complete loving servant of Krishna, anything other than that is false ego. Why it develops? Because a self-enjoying mood comes there. So Maya attacks. What does Maya do? She is first giving the subtle body. That body, subtle body, is constituted with mind, intelligence, and the false ego that we are talking about. So, because his mind is material, intelligence is also material only. Because he is now Maya, once Maya gets, he is in the material subjugation. And then she really puts another covering over that. She takes all the Prakriti components, Panjabhutas, and he really then gives this body made of the Panjabhutas. Now this is how the soul is deep inside. It was pure. It is pure by nature, but because of inclination, it gets contaminated. And the subtle body and then the gross body. What we are seeing ourselves into the body given by Maya Devi is we are thinking, I am a man, I am a Brahmana, I am a king, I am poor, I am miserable, I am overwhelmed by diseases and lamentation. Oh, I am a woman, and also I am the master of this person, that person, I am a boss, I am a CEO, I am a CFO, I am this. Everything comes problem. But the Nitya Dharma is by nature is complete, pure and eternal. So this perversion is observed in the more concentrated form in the gross body as the pleasure of eating, drinking and contact with sense objects. Now becomes so bad. You should understand clearly that the eternal function of the Jiva known as Nitya Dharma is manifest only in his pure state. So the Dharma that arises in the conditioned state is known as Naimitika Dharma. Naimitika, circumstantial. And I think the next chapter or something is coming. Naimitika Dharma is to be relinquished or something like that is going to be coming, probably the next one. Now let us see the Swabhava, the unalloyed Vaishnava Dharma that we are actually concentrating now as Swabhava is eternal. That's a Nitya Dharma. But it may be divided into three categories. Because of the Swabhava, why? Because Jiva has now is contaminated. Because of his desire to enjoy the material world. So now we have three things now. In terms of when you are talking about the Dharma, we have three things to talk. Nitya Dharma is eternal. That we said it is the loving service to Krishna. That is called Vaishnava Dharma. So the Nitya Dharma or the eternal Dharma is also called Vaishnava Dharma. Then we have the Naimitika Dharma. Naimitika means artificial. It is not true. Circumstantial. Like for example, a water is now a circumstantial thing becomes cold, it becomes ice. So that is, what is the thing? What is happening? He is really going, Naimiti Dharma, one aspect that we see is, it's still God-centered. Because it hasn't really forgotten, okay, because it is facing the miseries. God-centered. But he will be asking God, oh God, I want to enjoy, I am not able to enjoy. I want a job, I don't have a job. Oh, I want to enjoy. So this is a Naimitika Dharma, which will be actually going in detail later. Then another this thing is very unfortunate. Anitya Dharma. They say there is no God, no soul. That is the Sunyavada. So now, if we really see all these three things, how the Jivas unfortunately have been really gone into this different state, but the only first thing is this Nitya Dharma is eternal. That's what the topic is about. But that point, Sannyasa Thakura with folded hands said, Prabhu, I am constantly witnessing the super excellence of the spotless Vaishnava Dharma which Sri Sachidananda Gaurahari has revealed. And I have clearly now realized that the contemptible nature of Sankaracharya's monistic doctrine is contemptible. It's very bad. But that was where he was there, living all the time. He had gone all the way to Paramahamsa level. But something has come to my mind which I feel I must submit to you. I don't want to hide it. I understand that Mahabhava, which was displayed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the highest state of concentrated prema. Now my question is it different from the attainment of the perfection by the Advaita Siddhi? Advaita means there is no difference. So what he is asking is, eventually when the soul reaches Brahman, it is actually getting kind of bliss. But actually it is not really bliss. It is lack of miseries. There is no sorrows. That doesn't mean that it is pure. It is in bliss. But he is asking, is the Advaita Siddhi is same thing as what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually was talking about as prema? When Paramahamsa Babaji heard the name of Sri Shankaracharya, he immediately offered prostrated obeisance unto the Acharya and said, oh respected sir, Shankara Sakshat. Shankaracharya is none other than Mahadev Shankara or Shivaji. You should always remember this. Shankara is Guru for the Vaishnavas. And for this reason, Mahaprabhu has referred to him as Acharya, spiritual preceptor. For his own part, Sri Shankara was a perfect Vaishnava. But at the time of Sri Shankara's appearance in India, there was a great need for a Guna Avatara like him. An incarnation who provides over the qualities of material nature. The study of the Vedic Shastras and the practice of Varnashrama Dharma had become practically extinct in India due to the influence of Sunyavada, Vaidism, that is Buddhist philosophy. So Sunyavada was vehemently opposed to the personal conception of Bhagavan. So the Brahmanas of that era had abandoned the Vedic Dharma because of the effect of Buddhism. At that point, Shankaracharya appeared as an extremely powerful incarnation of Mahadeva. So he established the credibility of the Vedic literatures and converted the Sunyavada doctrine of Vaidism into the Brahmavada doctrine of Nirvishesha. Fearless, that's the Nirvishesha Brahma. This was an extraordinary feat. And India will remain ever indebted to Sri Shankaracharya for this tremendous contribution. Let me go back to the previous slide where I was just touching the Anitya Dharma. The Anitya Dharma, as I said, the no God, no soul, that is Sunyavada. Actually, that is inherently is Buddhism. Anitya Dharma is Nastikas and Buddhism. They are not different. But also, Shankaracharya came to rescue these Anitya Dharma souls. Those souls who have really gone into this Anitya Dharma, Shankaracharya was sent by Krishna to teach this Mayavadism, to attract them. Hey, you are God, everybody, God. Oh, then they are happy. They are attracted, and finally, as they really go, eventually they will be promoted. Then they will get into the Naimittika Dharma, at least God-centered. God-centered, and finally they will go back to the Nitya Dharma eventually. Every Jiva has to go. Anyway, all the activities in this world fall on this. Now, if you see that Shankaracharya came, so he really invented this, introduced this Advaita, which then Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya developed further to really concretely convey and prove and convey the philosophies higher and higher. And finally, Mahaprabhu really came, and then he said, okay, this is the what? This is the Vada. This is the Abheda Tattva. So whatever Shankaracharya gave, that was Advaita Vada. Vada means hypothesis. You have Avogadro hypothesis, which says that number of molecules in a mole is something power 24. Something is there. Such a number. It's a hypothesis. Nobody could really count it. But his hypothesis looks like okay. But we don't know. So Shankaracharya so Advaita is a Vada, a hypothesis. Ramanujacharya also Visishtadvaita Vada only. That's also not perfect. Madhvacharya also gave that is Dvaita Vada. That's also Vada only. That's also not completely perfect. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, said, that is Tattva. Veda, Abheda, Tattva. So they were all beating on some portion of that whole truth. So they haven't seen the whole truth. They have seen only parts of the truth. And finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the Tattva, not Vada, Tattva. So now if you see, from one, because so what was the question that he was asking? Is that the same? That Advaita cities, when they really feel that they are in Samadhi, they are seeing some bliss. Actually, bliss it's not bliss. It's lack of miseries. Bliss is higher. So lack of miseries looks like bliss. Suppose somebody is living with pain all the time with painkillers, and all of a sudden when he really dies, and then his soul comes out, he feels so happy. Oh, glad I really died. So that means it's a lack of miseries anymore, lack of pain. So that siddhi, that samadhi, that the Advaita siddhis That samadhi that they are experiencing is the same thing as prema that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. So now that's what the explanation is given by Babaji. He's saying, from one specific point of view, the perfected state of absolute one, that Advaita Siddhi, seems identical to prema. It seems. But there is big difference. They are different. We cannot even compare. Prema cannot occur without the separate existence of two transcendental entities. There is a lover and a beloved. You need two entities for this prema to occur. Krishna prema is the dharma by which all the transcendental entities are eternally attracted to the supreme transcendental entity called Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chandra. So it is not possible. So the distinct presence of three separate ingredients are there. The relisher, the object of relish, and the act of relishing is also prema. See, lover, beloved, and also there is the love itself. There are three things coming. So this is how we have to understand. So Shankaracharya described the state of non-distinction simply as an unadulterated condition of spiritual substance. So it is nothing. We cannot really compare that. So that because they claim that Brahman is beyond the influence of Maya, as long as it remains in a state of oneness. But that Brahman becomes overwhelmed by Maya when it becomes embodied and takes on various shapes in the form of Jiva. This is how they claim. For them, Maya is the high. Bhagavan comes from Maya. But the truth is, Maya is controlled by Bhagavan. So there are a lot of mistaken conception in the Advaita Siddhi. Our oneness can never be equated with prema. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed the world to taste prema. And he personally taught it by his transcendental behavior and activities. The prema is completely beyond the jurisdiction of Maya. See, because Maya is the bigger. So, but prema is completely beyond the jurisdiction of Maya. And it is the highest development of the unalloyed state of perfect oneness. That is Advaita Siddhi, what they are talking about. So the Mahabhava and all those special transformations of this prema, is Premananda is extraordinarily powerful. So consequently, both the separateness and infinite relationship of the lover and beloved are transported to an unprecedented state, which these Mayavadis can never even imagine what it is. So consequently, the theory of Mayavada is useless. Okay, so now Sannyasa Thakura told, "Oh Prabhu, my heart is deeply pierced with the realization of that the Mayavada doctrine is most insignificant, worse than a dust. Today, you have mercifully dispelled whatever lingering doubts I had in this regard. I feel a strong desire to give up wearing this Mayavada sannyasa garb." Until then, he was wearing the Mayavada sannyasa garb. And Babaji Mahasaya said, "Oh Mahatma, I never give instruction on external dress. When the Dharma or the spiritual function of the heart becomes purified, the external dress will be set right easily and naturally. Where there is too much concern for external appearance, there is inattention to the soul's inner function. So this Vesha is not important. But when the time comes, you yourself will have inclination to change it." We should always remember that the instruction of Sriman Mahaprabhu, Markata Vairagya, Markata vairagya na kare loka dekana. Yada yogya vishaya bhunya anashakta hana. Andare nishta kare. Bhagye loka vyavahara. Achirat krishna tomaya haribe uddara. Do not adopt markata vairagya, mangi renunciation, simply to impress the general populace. You should accept without attachment whatever sense objects are appropriate for maintaining your devotional practices and give up all material desires within your heart. So whatever you use, you can use the objects, but in a detached mode. So you have to completely detached. So internally develop staunch faith in Sri Krishna and externally carry out your worldly responsibilities in such a way that no one can detect your inner mood. If you act like this, Sri Krishna will very quickly deliver you from this material existence. So Sannyasi Thakura understood the deep significance of this discussion and made no further suggestion about changing his outer dress for now. Folding his hands, he said, Prabhu, since I am now your disciple and I have taken shelter at your lotus feet, I will bear upon my head whatever instructions you give without any argument. I have understood from your instructions that unadulterated Krishna Prema constitutes the only Vaishnava Dharma. It is completely pure and natural. But what of the various dharmas that prevalent in different countries? But if the Vaishnava Dharma is one, or Jiva Dharma, Nitya Dharma is one, then why there are so many religions? Then Babaji Mahashaya said, O Mahatma, Dharma is only one, not too many. The Jivas have only one Dharma, and it is known as Jaiva Dharma or Vaishnava Dharma. Differences of language, country or race cannot create differences in that eternal Dharma. Jaiva Dharma is the constitutional function of the Jiva. People may give it different names, but they cannot create a different constitutional function. Jiva Dharma is the unadulterated spiritual love that the infinitesimal entity has for the infinite entity. It appears to become distorted into various mundane forms, so many, 8.4 million kinds of species, because the Jivas possess different material natures. The way their inclination develops, this is how it has, that is why the name Vaishnava Dharma has been given to identify the pure form of Jiva Dharma. The degree of Vaishnava Dharma in any religion or Dharma is measure of its purity. But in Kali Yuga, these so-called religions are cheating religions, that says that. But in general, Vaishnava Dharma, there may be different ways they may be following, but they are all stepstones. Like you have a ladder, you have different steps. It will really take you higher and higher and higher and higher. But Kali Yuga, it's all messed up. That is different thing altogether. Some time ago, in Sri Brajadama, now Babaji is talking. I actually submitted a question to Sriman Mahaprabhu's confidential associate, Sri Sanatana Goswami. I was with Sanatana Goswami. And that time, Rupa Goswami was also there. And I asked the same question. In the Muslims also, they use in Islam, they use the word ishq in relation to the worship of Ishvara. So but the word generally means love in the ordinarily worldly sense only. So that means Islamic religious teachers have not been able to understand the true conception of the pure spiritual entity called Sutta Sitvastu, which is Prema. That is the Jivas having Having prema, that means that vastu, jiva, is now sutta siddhu. So then he got the answer from Sanatana Goswami. They said, Sanatana Goswami described, he answers that, I have not seen unadulterated love for Krishna taught in any other religion. Whereas description of Krishna prema are common thoughts, commonly, taught throughout. Actually, in the second sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna prema has been lucidly, very clearly described in the statement Projitta Kaitava Dharma. This is respected to the Kali Yuga religions, all cheating. But if they are not cheating, like in other yugas, they are, in this case, the word isk is still referring to the worldly lust. So remember, like, they had some big novels or something, some Leela, Majnu or something like that. So they were all talking about isk and isk and isk. And so that is nothing to do with the prema that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he really came to really give to the jivas, the qualified jivas. So he gave the answer saying that they are different. So the Advaitavadis, whatever they are talking about, the samadhi where they experience bliss, is not really a complete bliss. It's a neutral. That means no pain. But then the real bliss, they have nothing, no way of understanding what that real bliss is. Real bliss is only with prema. And prema has nothing to do with this Advaita Siddhi philosophy even. Because you need separated entities to express the love. Prema can exist only a lover and the beloved. And in fact, there are three things. There is also love is also there. So then if Brahma means everything same, Jivas, there is no difference, you are also Brahma, God is also Brahma, everything is Brahma, then how can we even think about prema? It has no meaning in their philosophy. So like that, he described, and Sannyasa Thakura heard his explanation from Babaji Maharaj. Immediately he offered Dandavat pranams to him. Paramahamsa Babaji then said, "Oh, best of the bhaktas, I will now answer your second question." What is the second question? Because if the jivas were created at some time, how can that be eternal? So now he is coming. So please listen attentively. The words creation and formation, when applied to the jiva, are used in a material context. The speech of this world functions, basically all the world functions, if you really see that, we see only as an experience in material phenomena. So the time that we experience is divided into three phases, like past tense, present tense and future tense. But this material time called Jadiya Kala, which is connected with the material energy, what is that? That's Maya. So in the spiritual domain, there is spiritual time, which we cannot understand even. It's called Chit Kala. So our see Jadiya Kala, and that is Chit Kala. That Kala is actually, we do not think that it is something similar to the Kala here. No, it is completely different. One way we can understand is, eternally present tense. That's one way to understand. Try to understand. So now if you see that, there no division of past tense or future tense. The jivas and Krishna exist in that spiritual time. So the jiva is eternal and ever existing. So the functions of creation, formation and falling all take place under the influence of material time. And they are used to describe the Jiva after he is bound in this material world. However, even though the Jiva is infinitesimal, he is an eternal spiritual entity. So that was the first question actually. And his fundamental constitution existed before he entered this material world. So the material world is something, this Kala gets manifested only just like the magic, right? Then when the Jiva goes back again, there was nothing again. There was in the Chit Kala again, back to Chit Kala. You think like back to future film or something. How will you understand? So since the past and future do not exist in the spiritual world, whatever occurs within that spiritual time frame is eternally present. Whatever occurs within that spiritual time frame is eternally present. Jiva belongs there. Therefore, in reality, the Jiva and his constitutional function are both ever present and eternal. I have explained all these to you in words, but you can only understand their true meaning to the extent that you have realized and experienced the unalloyed spiritual realm. How will you? So I have just given you a glimpse, he says. You should try to realize the meaning of what I have said through Chit Samadhi, spiritual meditation, not the Advaita Siddhi Samadhi. No. Chit Samadhi, spiritual meditation. You will not be able to understand this topic through mundane logic or by debate or churning your brain. The more you can free your faculty of experience from the material bondage, that means you develop prema more and more towards the Krishna, then you will be able to enter into the spiritual realm, Chit Kala, and you can experience yourself. Otherwise, you cannot by yourself, logic, you have no way of understanding. Forget it. You have to get the electric shock to know what this electric shock is. So now, creation is only a material concept for Jiva. There is no time or Kala in the spiritual world. Chit Kala, always present. Krishna and Jivas exist in Chit Kala, experienced only in Samadhi. What Samadhi? Chit Samadhi. Only when completely detached materially. By pure chanting, Sutta Swarupa is realized. So, even Ashtanga Yoga, you may be thinking about sometime, maybe Ashtanga Yoga, is that what they are doing? No, nothing, no, they cannot. Ashtanga Yoga cannot get to this stage to understand. Brahmajnana cannot get to this. In fact, take for example this Jnani, suppose be Jnani, Swami Vivekananda, there was a question asked, "Oh Swamiji, please tell me when this Jiva really started, when this creation, all the things, creation of Jiva started." He said, "Oh, this is a big mystery, nobody knows. I don't know it." But then why they are calling themselves Jnanis? Actually, they are Anjanis then. So here, we see clearly in Jiva Dharma, Krishna Bhuli Sei Jiva Anadi Bahirmukha Atayeva Mayatare Deya Samsara Dukha. So, when the Jivas develop this aversion to Krishna because of their independent wish, they have independence. It is up to them to really receive. They are the ones who really came through the Sadhasa Sakti. They are the ones along with others. And it says the Bhatta Jiva who is averse to Krishna has been preoccupied with the external potency, that Maya, since with time without beginning. Because why? Chit Kala. Spiritually they are in Chit Kala. So now because of the desire, they are coming into the Jadayu Kala. So consequently, Krishna is deluding potency. Maya gives him misery in the form of material existence. So Swami Vivekananda could not explain any hint about this Jiva Tattva. But they are all calling themselves as Jnani. So now, let us see what others are doing. Forget about bhakti. Whatever we are talking about, the position of Jiva. So the position of Jivas, there can be three cases. Those Jivas who are karmis, those Jivas who are jnanis, and who are those who are yogis and bhaktas. But more than 90% of the population, if you see, these Jivas are karmis. Karmis have only three places in cycles. Actually, this slide I was really using in yesterday's class. I am just trying to really complete here so that I can now link about the situation, what is happening in our life. So karmis have only three places. They are now, they will be existing only in any of these three places. Any of these three places. While they are in Bhumi, they do karma. That is Suddha karma. That means they are Sukarma, good punya, good things, or Vikarma or Akarma. So when they do it, what happens? If they have done for those Sukarma, they will go to heaven. Until that punya runs out, they will be happily enjoying. Then they have to be back to square one again. They will be born in the Bhumi or similar planets. Or if they did Akarma, Vikarma, specifically they will put in hell. They will be tortured there and then come back again. And this is what is going on in a circle. See the recycle that icon I really put there. This is the triangle. The karmis really go through these three tips of the triangle only. They have nothing else. But only when they really have the inclination to really worship God, they can be slowly coming out of this grip with this karmic world. So they have to get out. So then, as I mentioned, there are three things. So karma, jnana, actually there is yogis also there anyway, but primarily these three. So karma gives bhakti, enjoyment or suffering, as I mentioned there in the previous slide. Jnanis, they get mukti and they will be going for sleeping forever. Bhakti gives prema. And now I want to spend about just 10 minutes because we have, we have time. We have another 15 minutes there. Think about what happens when a karmic soul leave this body as per Garuda Purana. This is nicely made, this particular, because I really wanted to do something here, but now this is not the stage that I really want to do these kind of things. But there are others who are making use of this so-called AI. Nobody can paint all these things. So nice episode. I cannot fast forward, but it will really run for 11 minutes or something. You listen. And those who think that by doing this repeated karmis, what is karmis? Marrying, getting children, getting job. This is what it is. There is nothing wrong in that, but you are a karmi. What will happen when we leave the body? If we do not prepare for the next life, it will be biggest mistake. But that is applicable only for karmis. Karmis means they are not spending their time in devotion. They are completely immersed under the maya, spending all the time for making money, working, bringing families, doing this and that is karmis. But for a bhakta, first of all, Yamadudas do not come. So those bhaktas, there is no need to give pinda. This pinda is made from that balls so that that body is going to be taken to by the Yamadutas, and that karmis souls are subjected to the jurisdiction of Yama. But a bhakta, no. As soon as somebody actually takes shelter under Guru, he wears the Tulasi Mala and chanting on Tulasi beads, Yamadeva takes that soul out of this jurisdiction, and it is given to only Krishna's control, Krishna Dutas. So that is why Krishna says, Devarshi bhutatanirnam pitranam na kingaro nayam nirnicharajan sarvatmanaya sharanam saranyam gato mukundam parihritya kartum. Why? Because when you are engaging your life, every day you are actually chanting, and you are crying for the, for out of prema, out of love, as that Krishna is the only destination. That is what means completely surrendering to Bhagavan Mukunda. So one who completely surrenders to Krishna, what is no longer remains indebted to the Devas. They are out of the jurisdiction, because when we are born, we have debt. We are dead to so many devas, because all the Panchabhutas, they are all controlled by demigods. So we are using theirs, the air we breathe, and also the sunlight, everything whatever we have, we are indebted. We are also indebted to the father, mother, and forefathers, everybody, because through that family only we have come. But as soon as somebody takes shelter under a Guru and receives this, completely they have no longer remained indebted to anyone. No, not Devadas, not forefathers, other living beings, no kings or government or guests. He is not subordinate to anyone, and he is not obliged to serve anyone. Now coming, this is something that I have added anyway. So the Babaji is continuing. We'll just close it because we don't have time for covering everything what I thought. So first you should get the realization of your pure spiritual entity, your spiritual identity, your Siddha Deha. How? Chanting Sri Krishna Nama purely. Then your spiritual function known as Jiva Dharma will be clearly revealed. And the whole history, whole scenario of how we came down from that Chitkala to the Jadai Kala, how you will understand. So the spiritual realization and experience cannot be fully purified by the eightfold yoga system known as Ashtanga Yoga or Brahmajnana by cultivating knowledge of the all-pervading featureless Brahman. The Jiva can only manifest his Nitya Siddha Dharma or eternal spiritual function by constantly cultivating activities directly meant for Krishna's pleasure, not for your pleasure. Because you really had the attraction for your pleasure, you are fallen. You are under miseries now. So you should constantly practice chanting Harinama with great enthusiasm. Such practice is true spiritual culture. By chanting Harinama regularly, you will develop unprecedented attachment to Sri Krishna Nama within a very short time, and you will directly experience the spiritual realm. Chanting Sri Harinama is the foremost of all the different limbs of bhakti, and it yields the quickest results. This is confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction in Sri Krishna Dasa's Kaviraja's magnificent work called Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhajanera Matye Shrestha Navavida Bhakti. Bhajanera Matye Navavida Bhakti. Krishna Prema Krishna Dita Dhare Mahasakti. Krishna Prema Krishna Dita Dhare Mahasakti. Bhajanera Matye Shrestha Navavida Bhakti. These 9 angas, तारामध्ये सर्वश्रेष्ठ नाम संकीर्तन, तारामध्ये सर्वश्रेष्ठ नाम संकीर्तन, निरपराधे नाम लैलो पाय प्रेमदान, निरपराधे नाम लैलो पाय प्रेमदान, भजने रे मध्ये श्रेष्ठ नवविध भक्ति. So anyway, I don't have time to really go through all those, but I have a long way to go. In the sense, not that long, but I really want to say something about Nama Ruchi. So the Nama Ruchi part I will cover probably the next slide. But to conclude, of all the different types of spiritual practices, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam, these 9 angas of bhaktis are the topmost. Of all these 9 practices, Nama Sankirtan is the best. By chanting Sri Krishna Nama without offense, one obtains the priceless treasure of prema. Mahatma, okay, now he's, yeah. Now he's also continuing. There is also something more to this Vaishnava Dharma. Vaishnavas can be classified into 3 categories. Vaishnava, there's Kanishta Vaishnava, neophytes. The Madhyama, neophytes means just now they have a guru and daily they are chanting. They are chanting, switching rounds. That is Kanishta. Madhyama, intermediate. They are also giving classes, Shastra, more chanting more. Uttama is very high. So Kanishta Vaishnava is just chant the name Krishna, but not with that much of affection, the attachment yet. Madhya Vaishnava chants the name of Krishna constantly and serve his guru. And Uttama Vaishnava causes others to chant Srinama by his very presence. So according to Mahaprabhu's instruction, we do not need any other criteria to differentiate these 3 kinds of Vaishnavas. So now Sannyasa Thakura was deeply immersed in the nectar of Babaji Maharaja's instructions. And he began to dance as he chanted Sri Krishna Nama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he is spontaneously chanting and dancing. On that day, he experienced Ruchi, a natural taste for Harinama. Offering prostrated obeisances unto the lotus feet of his Guru, he prayed, Prabhu, O friend of the destitute, please bestow your mercy upon this wretched soul. Like this ends the 2nd chapter. Jiva Dharma entitled, The Nitya Dharma of Jiva is pure and eternal. So, those jivas who really came down to really enjoy this stool like this, the world and families and all the relations and this nonsense, only way to really escape from here is by chanting the Harinam. There is no other way. There is no other way. And I really want to give one small topic about Nama Ruchi. So today I don't have time. I will include that in another day. So to conclude, our mission is to broadcast Nama Sankirtan. That is why we have the project of doing 108 Nama Sankirtans. Our children are actually doing wonderfully. We have come up to 88 unique productions with different tunes. Also here, I wrote a small new book, Mahamantra for Supreme Happiness. They are all getting printed and distributed to Nigeria. Our Nigerian devotees are unimaginably so devotional. I don't know. Gurudev has really showered all his mercy to them. They are very simple and always pure and very, very devotional. So this distribution of this book is going on there. And meanwhile, at the end, we want to chant this Mahamantra to end this class today. But however, because of I am not good in this thing, we are here just to hear this, just about 4 minutes to conclude today's class. Questions, we can take it in the next class, and then also I will talk something about the Nama Ruchi, which we just touched at the end of the class today. All right.
Hare Rama
Yes, with that we will conclude. So now we ended in just one question. Am I a karmi? That means I will go to Yama. And I have to cross that Vaitarani river, which is full of blood and pus and smelling bad, smelling. All the creatures were all there. How are you going to cross if you are a karmi? But as soon as you really take shelter under a guru and wear tulasi mala, that's all. It makes a big difference right there. You are not anymore under the jurisdiction of this Yama, giving pindas, this, that, 13 days, this, nothing applicable. Your route is different. So the Garuda Purana is pertaining to the karmis. And is that the end of it? After you suffer or enjoy? No, you have to come back. That's what the slide I really showed you before. Because a karmi's life is between these three things. Bhumi or earth-like planets, hell, heaven. Bhumi. This is the triangle that you really go through. Repeatedly. No ending. Until you really come under the shelter and then you engage yourself in spiritual endeavor. 100%. Then you are completely out of it. Then you are going to back to the Chitkala and be with Krishna, lovingly serving him, with him. That is the real enjoyment, real bliss. This is all flickering, whatever that we are seeing, this is nonsense. Right? With that, I will conclude here. Vanja kalpa saripchecha kripa sindhu pevacha paditanam pavanepyo vaishnavepyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.